Welcome into the Kings recap show at youtube.com/Sactown Sports. Rami Makloff, your host this evening, and they are lighting the beam in Sacramento tonight after a thrilling 130-128 victory in Houston to close out the road trip on a winning note. To close out the road trip 4-3. Your comments are welcome on the YouTube page. We'll read some of those before we get out of here this evening. I'm not going to say the Kings made it harder on themselves than they needed to, going against a lesser opponent in Houston coming into the night 13-40, because a 7-game road trip it's tough, man. It's a challenge. And the last game on that road trip, your legs are heavy. You're already thinking about getting home, sleeping in your own bed, seeing your wife, seeing your kids, whatever the case might be. De'Aaron Fox, dad, for the second time on this road trip. I caught him with Mo and Matt on the post-game show, sideline interview, talking about what a crazy few sleepless nights it's been for him. So even against a much lesser opponent, an inferior opponent in the Houston Rockets, a win is any of any kind, I think is good enough for me coming out of this situation, closing out this road trip 4-3. I said to Deuce and Mo today in the crossover from them to Cattles and Rami, 11-2, Deuce and Mo, Cattles and Rami, 2 o'clock. That this was kind of a must win. You didn't want to go under sub 500 on this road trip, given some of the favors that the schedule makers made for you in this road trip, including some inferior opponents, including a lot of those opponents playing on the second end of a back-to-back going against the Sacramento Kings. So it was a road trip you wanted to have a winning record on, and they accomplished that. They finished the road trip 4-3, and it wasn't easy tonight. And it wasn't easy tonight, especially in the first half, and especially because of a couple of things that have troubled the Kings throughout the season. Well, one has been more of a recent problem. That's three-pointers not falling. 3 of 9 on threes in the first quarter. They finished the half 4 of 17 on three-pointers. They also were losing the rebound battle, and specifically giving up a lot of offensive to Houston in this one. They lost the rebound battle 15-7 in the first quarter, 6 of those on the offensive end for Houston, and the Rockets had 11 points on offensive rebounds in the first half. And when you look at that, in addition to losing the points of the paint battle in the first half, 34-26, it should be no surprise that the Kings were trailing throughout the first half, trailing after the first quarter, 37-30, trailing at halftime, 62-58. It should also be no surprise to anybody that when threes started falling in the third quarter, they went 4 of 7, and you stopped them from grabbing offensive rebounds and getting second chance points. And the tide started to turn the Kings' way, which is exactly what happened in the third quarter. And they led 99-97 after 3 quarters. Fourth quarter, two teams battled. I think Houston took as big as a 6-point lead at one point in that third quarter. Kings hung around, though, hung around. And then the final minute or so, things got kind of crazy. Aaron Fox with a steal. About a minute left in the layup. That makes it a 3-point game. Keegan Murray draws a charge. Steven Silas challenges that charge, which he may have wanted to take back just a few moments later, but it was not overturned. Foul stood, and Keegan Murray draws the charge. Fox floater makes it a 1-point game. Kings get a defensive stop. They come down to the other end. It was hard to tell how many exactly, but there was 3 to 4 misses by the Kings on shots and putbacks and shots, putbacks, and then finally the jump ball as Domas got tied up, wrestling the ball down to the ground, and the tip ball is tipped out. Houston ball. But Malik Monk with a great play on the inbounds. He gets the steal. Timeout. They come down to the other side. De'Aaron Fox goes up for a three and gets fouled by Eric Gordon, I should say. And that's where I think Steven Silas would like to have that challenge back that he lost on the Keegan Murray charge. Not to say that it would have been overturned, but Steven Silas would have loved to have been able to throw that challenge out there for at least a chance to not send De'Aaron Fox to the free throw line for 3. But indeed, that's where De'Aaron Fox went, and De'Aaron Fox went there and hit all three of those. He actually meant to miss the last one just because point three on the clock. He wanted to kill the clock on a missed free throw before Houston had a chance to do anything, but he hits it by accident, and the Kings win 130 to 128. Fox finishes the night with 31. Domantas Sabonis had 22 points, 9 rebounds in this one. Not his usual double-double, but still a solid night for Domas, and a really, really good road trip by Malik Monk by a 17-point performance in this one. Jalen Green, I got to mention, just awesome for Houston tonight. He's kind of known for maybe not having the greatest shot selection tonight, just really, really efficient and kind of dominating the Kings all night, specifically dominating Kevin Huerter. We've seen teams targeting Kevin Huerter defensively here throughout this road trip, and that was certainly the case tonight. Green going 14 of 22, including 6 of 9 on threes, and put up a game high 41 points. Like I said, I will take the win in any form or fashion, even though you might look at the records of these two teams and say this should be an easy victory for the Kings. Like I said, 7-game road trip. It's going to be a challenge, man. It's going to be tough to pull those out, and the Kings needed every last drop of energy that they had tonight to pull this one out. Also, should mention Keegan Murray set the Kings record for three-pointers in a season by a rookie in the fourth quarter of this game tonight. So congratulations to Keegan Murray. Also, around the NBA, we'll get to your comments in just a second at youtube.com/Sactown Sports. That big trade that was discussed all afternoon long on Kels and Rami and elsewhere, I'm sure, between LA, Minnesota, and Utah. That deal is final. So Malik Beasley, D'Angelo Russell headed to the Lakers. Minnesota gets Mike Conley in the deal. Utah gets a first-round pick and Russell Westbrook. They will then buy out Russell Westbrook wherever he pleases. And also tonight, Josh Hart sent from Portland to New York for Cam Reddish. There were some other pieces moved in that deal as well, but those were the main guys moved in that deal. Trade deadline tomorrow, right as Nick Cattles and myself take the airwaves. So we will keep you abreast and up to date on any and all moves around the NBA, but obviously, especially regarding the Sacramento Kings and whatever they might do before the trade deadline tomorrow. Welcome your comments at youtube.com/Sactown Sports. Jonathan says crazy. Street Thumper says Fox is truly a franchise player for the Kings. Yeah, we're getting there, man. We're getting there. I do think he has an all-star game in his future, with 2 spots now opened up in the West with Steph Curry and Zion Williamson both out with injuries. So I think he has an all-star game in his future. That's a start to being named truly, being considered truly a franchise player. Kais, I think I'm getting it right. Kais says we got lucky. I don't know what was lucky about that victory. That was a tough, hard-fought victory for the Kings. I didn't see a lot of luck in it. That was definitely a foul by Eric Gordon at the end. Like I said, I think Steven Silas would have liked to have that challenge just to throw it out there, and maybe they get lucky and the referees overturning what was a foul, but they didn't get lucky by any means. They earned that one. FG says unbelievable ending. Street Thumper says a win is a win, no matter how lucky it might look. And yeah, that's the bottom line in this one. However that win looked, I will take it. I maybe expected it to be a little bit easier, but I'll take it. Something battle rap has almost turned the game off with 5 seconds left. Why with 5 seconds left? This thing was so close at that point. At 5 seconds, you were going to turn it off after all they did to hang around in this one and make it a last-second game? Zombie Head Soldiers says trade Herder for Buddy. I don't think Buddy's coming back here. I've heard Buddy talking about Sacramento and the Kings, but I don't think he wants to be back here. Let's see. Who else we got? FG says Fox equals leads NBA in clutch points. He sure does. Yes, he does. Andrew Sterling says that was highway robbery. And Zombie Head Soldiers commenting again says Fox was owed that. So I don't. That was a foul. That looked like a foul to me, man. I don't know. And really, like with everything that's gone on with the Kings, who literally more often than anybody, and I don't say that just pulling it out of the thin air, more often than anybody have been screwed by referees in the final 2 minutes of games. That's a fact. It's documented in final 2 minute reports. Now we want to talk about how the other team got lucky or the Kings got a call. I'm not playing that game, man. I'm not playing that game. That was a foul, and even if it wasn't, they owed the Kings one or two or 30 in the final 2 minutes of games based on the way that things have gone so far this season. And it's a win. They're lighting the beam, and I'll take it. 130, 128 over the Houston Rockets this evening. Much, much more on this win. The Kings, the trade deadline, all day tomorrow on Sactown Sports. We are live and local, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Carmichael Day with Jason Ross starts things off at 6 a.m. It's Deuce and Mo at 11. That'll take you right up to Tattles and Rami and the NBA trade deadline. We will have it covered like a blanket for you on Sactown Sports 1140 right here on the YouTube page. I will talk to you guys then. Kings win 130 to 128. Like the beam. They're headed back to Sacramento.